out this guy. This is a podcast where we're gonna point at all the little guys what come out of our head, and we're gonna stare at them and we're gonna talk about them. I'm Emery. My pronouns are they, she, he.
I'm Morg. My pronouns are they, he.
I'm Elvire. My pronouns are they, she, he.
I'm Spike. My pronouns are whatever you want to call me.
So, OCs, that's what we're here for.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, we're like talking. We've for people who maybe have just been listening to the podcast and aren't part of our Discord, first of all, join our Discord. But we've been talking a lot about OCs in the Discord because people have like original characters that, you know, are either things that we've talked about on some of the Digimon Gosuke episodes, or they're like, it's just, we're all like, whoa, we want to see all your fun guys, because a lot of people have like fun Digimon-based guys, and then it turned into fun furry guys, and then it turned into fun guys in general. So we're like, hey, check out this guy. We want to see it.
Show us the guys.
Yeah, we love to look at the little OCs people have made.
Wait, have we turned into the opening of Ep.1?
Yeah, where we just explain the plot and what an OC is every time.
Oh, no. I mean, like, how the whole series starts. Just the various characters out there gazing at some guys.
I mean, it's only gonna turn into the opening of App Monsters if we have, like, a really homoromantic conversation about which one of us is the protagonist.
Yeah, the two of us can have that conversation with two of our OCs.
Oh, fuck.
Anyway.
I guess you could, but...
So, that derailed me a little. Yeah, so I know, for this podcast, I think we're going to be talking a lot about our own OCs. We're going to have guests and, who can talk about their OCs. We're also just going to do, we might do, like, character creation episodes, we might do, like, just kind of, like, silly, less structured episodes where we play little games or answer questions about our OCs, stuff like that. So... yeah, I think just for this introductory episode, though, we kind of want to get into just why we like OCs and why we make them and why we think about them a lot. So, yeah, so I guess I'll start off with this first question. Like, I know I'm gonna get a few different answers from all of you. Do you just like do you have like about how many OCs do you have? Rough estimate. I'm not asking for like a specific count.
I don't really have any completely fleshed out OCs, but how many series I've watched or read or engaged with, that's how many OCs I have. Interesting.
You tend to make up OCs for like just like media properties that you're interested in?
I make self-inserts and then they live their life and they become their own people.
Hell yeah. We're definitely going to be talking about some self-insert guys. God, I can't wait to talk about my fucking Sonic OCs.
So I'm the one that doesn't make OCs for existing properties. So I feel like I have fewer. I have like 4 really fleshed out ones at the moment. And of course, every time we play an RPG, like it adds.
Yeah, that makes sense. I do that too.
Tabletop characters, also a big category for OCs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the vast majority. Maybe the vast. Oh, I'll get into mine in a sec. But.
Yeah, and I think probably like tabletop OCs are going to be some of the more interesting ones to carry up to talk about, because they have kind of like a built-in story if it's far enough in the campaign for them.
Mm-hmm.
And, I guess even if it's not that far in the campaign, because, backstories are something.
They sure are.
And we sure do spend too much time on those, huh?
Pearl, I need you to stop eating the foam on my walls. It's not food for cats.
Let her eat foam.
No.
A little foam as a treat.
Little of foam.
Yeah.
Or maybe just replace it with some whipped cream.
It's not great for cats either.
Probably not great for walls.
Not great for walls either.
Well, I mean, the cat removes it from the wall anyway.
I guess I could go next.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard because I have anywhere from like 5 to like 25, because it really depends a lot on how motivated I am to like be writing my own stories. Like the vast majority of my original characters, like they're still OCs, even if it's for like stories I write, in my opinion. Like if I'm writing a fucking book, I can still call them OCs, right?
Definitely.
And I have story ideas. Like I've had this one story idea for like years now that like I've like mostly just floating in my head, and there's probably like 3 main characters right there, and then I have 2 like characters I'm playing in like tabletop games at the moment, and then I have like probably like 4 past tabletop characters that I could talk about, and then, or like even if I've played more, some of them, either the games didn't go far enough, or they were like a one shot that didn't really stick with me or something, so I might have less to say about them. But and then like then there's like this thing of like, can you call your persona for an OC? Whereas like at least Emery and I both have like a separate guy that's like, this is not necessarily, but it is, because it's still like a character, an original character, but it's also like, this is just me also.
Yeah.
So the line between like self-insert and like character is very thin sometimes. So, and then there's also like, could I count some of the NPCs I made? So that's why I said between like 5 and 25. But
yeah,
it could be more, it could be less. It really depends on how motivated I am to talk about shit.
I tend to, accept wide definitions of things generally. Like, I think it counts if you want it to,
Yeah.
like, also, like, I fully intend on, discussing characters that were in an interstitial campaign I ran. Hi, Pearl. Thanks for stepping on the keyboard.
Kitty Cat. Kitty Cat's her own character. Pearl's her own fucking... She's not an OC, though. She's just a character.
She's got things to say.
Pearl is her own OC.
Fucking Pearl. Just okay. I have some like foam sound dampening panels on my wall, and she's just trying to fucking tear that thing off.
She's like, no, you gotta echo. Fuck you.
God damn it. Fuck. What was I saying?
Loose definitions of OC.
Yeah, loose definitions. I probably, I'm probably even gonna talk about NPCs from an interstitial campaign, even though those aren't characters I made up. Those are just like characters I made up, kind of my own take on. So
like coffee shop AUs are a thing, so you know,
yeah.
interstitial
like,
versions of characters absolutely counts.
I feel like if you're like a listener and you're like, I write fanfic and I have a character idea in my head for this specific character in a story, I feel like in a lot of ways you could be like, yeah, this is an OC. Like, you couldn't publish it. You couldn't be like, I'm making money off this work. But, like, in theory, you could change it and make it your own. I mean, that's, jokingly, people are like to bring up, like, 50 Shades and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's like, oh, it was a Twilight fanfic at first, or whatever. There's a lot of, there's more examples than that, but I think that's the one people think of, because it's like, what? That's so fucking weird. But, I think, like, we can still definitely make space for that. Like, yeah, it's going to be easier to be like, this is an original character if you're, like, writing shit. But some people are like, I want to write shit about guys I like, and I have these personalities in my head about them, and I made an interstitial game with them, and now my Eggman is like Sonic but not, or whatever. This is Spike's Eggman.
Eggman is not safe for my mental health, it turns out.
Oh, fair enough. So maybe we won't talk.
No, we can.
We'll talk about other
We can. It's just I can't play that character again.
Right. And that's something too. Like, there's going to be like, how much of yourself is in this character is going to vary a lot. You could be like, this is not me at all. This is like everything antithetical to me. This dude sucks ass and I'm great.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
This is not me, but accidentally it sort of is.
That happens a lot too.
Yeah.
That happens to me all the time. And sometimes you're like, and then I feel like there's also something interesting going on with you're like, oh, my friends have cool OCs and I want to like help with them. I feel like Elvir has a lot of guys like that where they're just like, oh, my friend made these great fucking volleyball guys.
I am obsessed with one of my friend's OCs, and I have so much art of that OC as the background of my phone and shit. I've commissioned art of that OC. Sometimes I see a guy and I say, that's it. That's perfect. I don't care who made it. I want that in my life.
Yeah.
And maybe you can steal an OC. Maybe, they always say do not steal, but, maybe you should just fucking steal. Maybe you should say fuck the police.
Maybe a little theft is okay. And you know what happens when I steal your OC? I commission art of them in a maid dress. So, is that really a crime? I think not.
Yeah, and I know it's kind of like, well, is it really stealing if you ask first? No.
Yeah, I very much just, we co-parent this OC now.
And the thing is that I'm not going to ask Sonic the Hedgehog people to steal their fucking characters. I'm just going to do it. But like my friend, I am going to ask. I'm kind of getting off like into stupid shit with that now. But
it is an interesting distinction, right? Like, where do you draw the line between this is someone's OC and this is just a media property that I can do whatever the fuck I want with?
Yeah. I think the definition and the line between them is very like interesting to me, which is probably why I like interstitial a lot. But
I'm like no line, just like we were talking about Sonic, like Tango and Whisper are OCs. They're officially recognized, but they're still OCs.
Fucking Ian just made them up.
That's a fun thing to get when you're like talking about media property that have been on long enough for that. Like, I feel like a good example of that is like Star Trek. A lot of times has fans, and then people make OCs of them, and then they become writers for Star Trek, and then they write their characters into the show. And it's like, that's, is that an OC? Yeah, it's their original character, and it wasn't originally there, but they made it canon, so
maybe fucking
No, go ahead.
Canon in general is just like a completely made up concept. Like, it's fictional. You can't say this part is real and this part isn't. It's all fake. It's all made up.
And the rules and the points don't matter.
I'm on Tumblr and I love seeing the drama about that because it is all made up. People can hate on me for my made up theories for the made up show, but at the end of the day, and none of it is gonna matter all that much.
Yeah, there will never be, to me, a more pointless argument than like is Hurricane Touchdown a canon Digimon movie, you know?
What the fuck? Who cares? But there's also like, I understand why people care because there's a lot of passion there. Like, there's a lot of stuff, like, you have like very specific ideas of what you think of these characters, and you're like, this goes out of that line. And it's like, okay, like, even if you would hate to say it, you're also someone who has kind of made an OC of that character because you have this very specific idea of that character. But, you know, if I said that to them, I'd get the shit beat out of me. It's fine.
Yeah,
they're all nerds. I would not get the shit beat out of me.
Yeah, a strategic retreat. Like, oh, we disagree. I'm just gonna sit in my corner of the internet and make my own art then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess to go back to my own question, I have a bunch of OCs. I'm guilty of like everything previously discussed. I have I have a Sonic OC that's a self-insert. Let's see. I have a bunch of different tabletop characters and NPCs. And I am a serial creator of, you know, ideas in my head for fiction that never get written. So
I get that so hard. I have a writing Discord with a friend, and I think the last post was 2021.
Boy.
I have a question.
So,
like, let's say stuff like Dark Souls or something like that. You know, games where
are you gonna ask what's the Dark Souls of making an OC?
No, but you know, you make a character in all these. I am guilty of, I basically have a default character that is like, okay, unless the game just is fundamentally not gonna work with them, I just recreate the same OC repeatedly.
Sure.
Does anyone else do that, or is that just me?
That's where I do the self-insert. And then they do change a little based on how the game goes, and before you know it, it's a completely different person.
Yeah, I typically don't. I'm just like a maximalist, like make up as many guys as I can. I don't like to repeat ideas.
And I feel like for me, at least, like in a video game, like I feel like first of all, I don't play a lot of like open world games. I play a lot more like story driven games, and like the open world games I play are like Breath of the Wild, and so like, yeah, I guess I have a Link OC. I have an idea of what this Link is like, but I'm not making a Link. Whereas like someone playing like Dark Souls, they're gonna be like, okay, this is a guy, and like, okay, so here's a thing. Sometimes in the Henry Kissinger's Pokemon Going to Die Discord, people stream themselves playing games, and like someone streamed themselves playing Dark Souls, and they were a clown. Like their whole character, they were just like a girl clown, like beating up everything in one of the Dark Souls games, and that's great. That's an OC.
Oh God,
absolutely.
I wish I'd seen that. That sounds amazing.
Probably the first time they played it, I would assume they're probably doing some kind of default, whether they're playing a self-insert or they're playing just a guy that they think of that they like to do. Like, even if you don't necessarily even if you're not like Spike, if you're like, this isn't me, but this is the same character I keep using, it's probably some kind of, you know, OC insert, and that's fine. It means you have a goal in mind, and that's kind of impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I know that sometimes people get mad because the main character in those kind of games doesn't say a lot and they feel bland, but I kind of like it because it means I have more room to put my own ideas in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What your character says in those games is what you're yelling at this television.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's very strange that the other characters don't react to me cussing on them for not landing a critical hit, but you know.
They're used to you swearing your head off, that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and like I feel like we definitely have to get people on here to talk about their like Final Fantasy 14 characters, because there's like a bajillion of those that people have like fun little backstories for and commissions for, and that's so great. Like I think that's great.
Sometimes I think back on my Warcraft days. I played World of Warcraft as a teen.
Yeah.
And oh god, you could put so much into that character's backstory and no one would ever know. No one knew the entire stories I'd made up for my character. It's so sad.
Yeah, you could talk about those. That would be great for...
No, it's been so long and I forgot most of it.
That's fine.
I simply do not have, like, the time or motivation to get into, an MMORPG, but sometimes I look at, like, the fucking outfits that people have made in Final Fantasy XIV, and I'm like, oh, goddamn.
Good content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, someone posting.
I'm like, man, could I play this just as like a character creator? Could I just have like little clothes that I put on my bunny boy?
The nature of humanity is that we all want to return to dress up games.
Yeah, so fucking true.
So
like
true. That's why Pickeroo is like so like nice.
Oh yeah,
now. Like. Because people can kind of, maybe they're not like OCs that we would talk about as much on this show, just because there isn't like a ton there. But like some people probably have, like people like to make their characters from tabletop games in Pickeroo, or they like to, you know, they make this Pickeroo and it really stuck with them. So they're like, what if I turn this into a guy?
Mm-hmm.
And ask the artist first if I can do that, but you know.
And one of my OCs definitely came from a Pickeroo that I did. It's like, ooh, perfect. And this is a good boy. Keeping him.
And I feel like, you know, OC fashion is its whole, you know, its own whole entire discussion topic, because like, yeah, like a lot of that personality can come, you know, from the visual design and like what the character wears. And like, yeah, I am an artist. I tend to draw like a lot of OCs, you know. And yeah, like it's always very fun to like, you know, change up the outfits, like, you know, just be like, okay, like, can I put this character in a different style, but like still have it, you know, feel true to their personality, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or you're like, I want to dress up my OC with my clothes just to see what it would be like, and it could be like, oh, this is what they normally wear, or it could be like, this is really funny because they're usually in like period piece wear or something.
Yeah, also, like, fucking a lot of transgenders on this here podcast. Sometimes...
I was just about to say a thing that I did was I would pick out an outfit that I liked back in the day when I hated how I looked, and I would take a picture of myself, I would draw that picture, and then I would change the face to, like, an OC or a character that I liked. That did wonders for my mental health.
Yeah, like,
and then I stopped saying that I was she, her, and that is directly linked to each other.
Yeah, like sometimes I draw a character and I'm like, I accidentally made gender goals. I gotta go shopping now so I can look more like that.
Yes.
I don't think I want to consider what it means the various outfits I've put Xenu in.
Sometimes that's good too, though.
Emery's gonna know this better than anyone.
Sometimes that can be fun too, though.
I wonder if I make my characters' outfits so simple because I have basic knowledge of how to make clothes, And a small part of me wants to put my characters into clothes that I would be able to make
Ooh.
myself.
That makes sense. I feel like, even if it's like clothes you wouldn't normally wear, and then, like sometimes you're like, oh, I want to look like this. And then sometimes you're just like, I don't know if I would want to look like this, but if I had this, like, if I was like a bird person, I would wear this maybe. Like if I'm thinking of like my soda or something, like I'd be like, okay, yeah, I would want to wear like piercings on my horns or something, something that either I can't do because I don't have horns, or I don't necessarily want to do on like my human flesh body, like I don't necessarily.
But you would feel very good walking next to someone.
Yeah.
That looked like that.
Yeah. Like even if I'm like, wow, I don't necessarily want to put on this like maid dress myself. I definitely want to know someone who does,
Oh, we should definitely meet up in real life once.
Yeah, no, I've seen the picture and I'm like, damn, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It is really fun.
Yeah, speaking of like, fucking representations of our gender in OCs, like I think that can neatly segue us into like, I guess we've already been talking about this a lot already, but like, why the hell do we make OCs? I know, like, part of the reason for me is like a lot of fucking, because a lot of the reason I make OCs is just like there's not any characters ever in media that are like asexual and trans. Like it has happened a handful of times in history. Like,
and then there's so few of them. If even one personality trait doesn't match mine, I'm like, oh, I missed this opportunity.
Yeah. I think I make OCs because I'm not going to therapy.
Yeah, that too. Like,
Mood. I explore so many parts of myself through my OC.
Even as someone going to therapy.
sometimes you make up an OC as a way of just like processing some stuff you're going through. I'm definitely guilty of that in like most of my tabletop characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me it's also in part because I cannot shut off my brain. My brain is always doing something, and the thing I make it do is make up stories.
Yeah.
Every day, all day, non-stop. Stories. I tell myself stories to go to sleep. It's what I do all the time. So I just pick up a boy of the week, and then that boy goes through some stories during the week.
Hell yeah.
It's been a lot of Genshin stories because that's what I've been playing, but you know what? Gaia has been my friend many times now.
I feel like also, like, at least, like, those games are probably kind of good for that because it's just kind of like it's just like a phone game. You can kind of make the characters do what you want them to in your head. Like,
yeah, they've got... Who's gonna stop me? The police, I would like to see them try.
That's what's so dangerous about those games is that you're like, I want to spend money on this guy that's, like, cool. That's why I don't play them.
I spent money on this game once, and it wasn't to be better at the game or to get more characters in the game. It's to make the character that I already had look cooler.
That's so what I would do also, is the thing, is if I played those games, that's what I would do. Me, like, I want to see characters that look like me and act like me and, like, like... I like characters that are, like, even just, like, fat like me, Like, I feel like that's a big thing. Like, people who with my, like, my shape and my sexuality, my gender, even if, like, these aren't all in the same character, unless I'm making a self-insert, which I have, I might split this up between a few guys, but I'm like, wow, I wanna... that story I was talking about with, like, the 3 characters that I keep, like, cooking in my head that had been around since before the pandemic, so a few years. They're all like, there's 3 of them and they're all like gonna fall in love with each other. You don't really see that in stories as much. Like, you see it more now, but it's like, you don't see like that many thruples, and like you don't see that and they're all like trans. Like, 2 of them are like trans on screen immediately before the story, and 1 kind of comes out. So like, and I want to see that, because it's like I want to see a story both of like characters that are like me and like comfortable with themselves in some way, and I want to see characters that come out on screen, but in like not in a way that's like, oh, woe is me, my life sucks because I'm trans. It's like, no, their life sucks probably because of other things I'm doing to them in the story, but not because they're trans, usually.
Just like fucking mainstream media will never feed us, so we're out here cooking for ourselves,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even as someone who is going to therapy, I make characters. I've made characters probably since I was like, in middle school at least, if not before then, just because like I was like, oh, I want to make a Pokemon OC and write it when I was 13, and they were some kind of like, I mean, sure, you've heard the term like Mary Sue before. They were probably some kind of like that, and I feel like that could be a whole topic of conversation, and how they're like actually kind of great. It's good sometimes to make a character that's impossible to be, especially if you're not like actually writing it into a story. You're just like, this is just the guy I like to think about that's like fucking OP.
If you do write it, I don't know where people are being so hateful of, like, sometimes you get to be self-indulgent.
Yeah.
I love reading self-insert fic. I don't hate it at all if the main character is overly good at something, or this. It just it shows you what the author that wrote it thinks is important.
Yeah, and like, there's something to be said about like the power fantasy of it, because we fucking live in a world where we don't have a lot of power over, our own circumstances, or just like the world in general. So, sometimes you just gotta, make a version of yourself that everyone wants to kiss and has all the cool confidence and ability to affect change in the world,
Right. And even if you're like, this character has too much happening to them, I'm putting all this bad stuff onto them, that can still be like kind of a power fantasy in itself too, because you're like, I want to, see what happens, and like see how like someone could go through that and still come out the other side. And like, it could be, it could be metaphors for stuff that's happening to you, and it could be like, I think I like people just, whether intentionally or not, making like metaphors about their selves in their stories and stuff. Like, you wouldn't necessarily want to think of yourself as this like beaten down guy, but like, you're still like, sometimes I just want to write that guy anyway.
Yeah, like it's kind of catharsis to like, project some shit that's happening to you onto your OC. It's something I tend to do over and over.
Especially my tabletop characters, I feel like.
Especially tabletop characters.
Yeah. I'm thinking about my last tabletop game, and we really put that boy through the ringer. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and ask Emery. Why do your tabletop characters so often steal people's guns?
That's such a specific question. Fuck.
I think that has less to do with, my sort of underlying, like, fucking psychological foundation of me as a person, and more to do just, like, because I think it's funny.
Sometimes it's literally just that it's funny, though.
Sometimes it's
Yeah.
funny.
Sometimes the
it's just
curtains are
funny.
just blue, and sometimes it's funny to steal a gun. Like, this is just true. Like,
Yeah, objectively.
you know, maybe there's something there, but probably not. Maybe the only thing is that it's like, damn, I wish I could steal things more. That'd be sick without getting caught, you know? That may be the one thing.
Man, I would love to steal things, though.
Right, exactly.
Things are expensive. What if I could pay for them but not?
What if someone else could pay for things for me?
Mm-hmm.
And what if
someone with a lot of money could pay for all the things that I want?
Right. Or like, oh, they suck anyway. Might as well take it from. I'm not.
Yeah, they don't
that.
deserve it.
I'm not promoting that, but I kind of am. You know.
Yeah, but we're all thinking it. We're all thinking about specific people.
Yes.
I am. Maybe this is a weird question to ask because I also know my memory is shit and I don't completely remember. But since Morg was telling about like the Pokemon OC or self-insert, when did y'all or do y'all remember like your first OC like character that you made?
Who?
Mine probably is the Pokemon one.
Yes.
I'll go into it in a second. After you guys, though, if you want to talk.
Oh, I ain't going into mine.
Fair, valid.
No, it's like the reason for me not going into mine is old late 90s online communities. I could be identified and I am not proud of the person that I was back then.
Okay.
So I don't want to link myself to any of that.
That makes total
Fucking
sense.
valid.
Very valid. I'm so glad I was raised with the idea of using a fake name online so that some of the old things that I've posted are never going to be linked back to me.
I'm glad I just, like, hurting myself and talking about things that I've done in the past that I'm ashamed of, but also it's very funny that happened. Like,
I don't think anything I've done or said is worse than the werewolf chat that I was
true. That was not actually that bad. I'm just kidding, Elvira.
No, it was terrible for me.
I think everyone's old OCs are valid except mine. Mine are the only ones who are cringe.
That's just like
Impossible. I don't think it's possible to have cringe in our Discord, so I'm sorry. I will not be accepting that.
But to actually answer the question, like, I was making up OCs pretty early. Like, I think, like, the first ones I remember doing was, like, actually, if any... Okay, fucking bear with me here. So, if y'all remember Captain Underpants, there was, like, a Captain... There was, like, a Captain Underpants, like, book about... That was just kind of, like... you know, an instructive book on how to make your own comics, like... And, you know, honestly, that was pretty cool for me because, like, it was a thing that, like, encouraged, like, creativity and it encouraged you to, like, fucking just make something even if you don't have, like, a lot of the skills that you would be expected to have for it. So, you know, I did just kind of start making up my own little comics with a bunch of superhero characters when I was in, like, first grade or whatever, and they're bad. I was in first grade. What do you want?
Fuck yes.
I bet they were amazing.
Okay. How long ago was 2007?
Forever ago.
I know. I was just like, how old was I in 2007?
Oh no, that's the year Transformers came out.
Oh god, I was still in school. That's a horrible time. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm just... Because I believe I posted my first fanfic in 2007.
Ooh.
Oh.
So that's why I was like, how old was I? 13, 16 years ago? Is that right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yes.
Okay.
That seems correct.
16 years ago, I was probably 12 or 13 then.
Your fanfic can drive now.
Wow, so true.
Not in my country, it can't, but it can drink.
But,
So,
right, so I was trying to think, because I was like, yeah, I think I posted, like, an OC when I was 12 online.
Yeah.
So that, like, probably exists in the ether somewhere. But and then if I made up any guy before that, it wouldn't be online, but it would have been like, you know, maybe I was thinking of myself as a character in like a Paper Mario game or something. Like, what if I wasn't playing as Mario and I was playing as myself or something, you know, like, but, as far as like things you can trace back to me, I guess it would have been when I was 12, and that's like very crazy to think about. And that's Pokemon. So I'm fine with being like, yeah, Pokemon was my first fandom. Like, that's cool. The fact that I've had worse fandoms since then, like the fact that I was into like Hitalia as a child, it's like, yes, I did have an OC that was a fucking state of America.
oh.
Oh boy.
That exists. And that was
Italia missed me. I was never aware of it until after the hype.
And that, like, is way worse than having a Pokemon trainer OC, even if they were, like, kind of
Having
silly.
a Pokemon trainer OC is sick.
That's
I
cool.
love that.
Having, like, a
Yeah, it's
personified
really cool.
country or state is fucking ridiculous.
I mean, yeah.
Like, damn, I wish I was into Sonic.
I mean, I feel like maybe you could do a good version of that.
You could.
But, you know, not if they're like friends with Nazi Germany.
Right. I was like,
No.
you could. I did not.
Was it Michigan?
No, it was New York, which is where I live.
Okay.
That makes a lot of sense.
That is not...
I mean, I had to ask because of Big Michigan.
That Big Michigan is purposely upstate New York as part of Big Michigan. Because, anyway, not to fucking pinpoint, do not find me, do not look for me. I do not exist. I'm in the forests of New York.
You are, in fact, a cryptid.
Yeah, I sure am.
Oh, nice.
And that's something, like, you can just make a cryptid into a character, because they don't have any personality traits, whatever.
Yeah, they can be whatever you want them to be.
If you want to kiss, Mothman,
I think
go for
Mothman. I was also thinking Mothman.
Yeah.
I think Mothman gives great hugs.
Yeah, like everything I've heard is that Mothman is sweet.
But it's also like, what if they're not, and what if they cause the bridge to collapse?
Mm-hmm.
That they're known for. Who knows?
Yeah. I feel like, internet lore around Mothman is like, wow, isn't Mothman so cool? Aren't they so soft and huggable? But I did fucking read the Mothman prophecies, which you should not do. Fucking 1970s book. It's pretty racist.
Oh, no.
Oh.
But yeah, like all the Mothman shit in there is like, yeah, Mothman just like fucking showed up in the middle of a field and fucking spooked the hell out of you. She was flying around chasing people in a car, like.
That sounds like normal moth behavior, to be honest.
So true.
Yeah, so Mothman is more like the modern Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And people also want to kiss Cthulhu, so...
Right.
Yeah?
Right. People love to just lose their minds because they're kissing great old ones. It's fine.
I mean, some of us have played Sucker for Love.
Some of us have. correct?
That's right, some of us.
Hey, man.
I think the majority.
Yeah, 3 out of 4 of us. I technically haven't played, but I did watch it all the way through, so I feel like
I still have to continue playing, though. I did kind of let it sit there for a while.
The thing about visual novels is that watching someone play it is essentially the same as playing it.
True, yeah.
True, yeah.
So I've played it in quotes.
Sucker for Love does have like some gameplay elements,
Yeah.
but it's all like fairly linear.
And I was like, I don't want to deal with the gameplay elements. I just want to see what happens.
Yeah.
I get that, because in one of the gameplay elements, I was really sweating. I thought I wouldn't make it. And I really wanted to make it.
What were we talking about? Fucking Mothman for? I don't
First
even
OCs, and then we, as usual, digress.
Oh, yeah,
into
we were talking
other
about old
things.
OCs, and I was bringing up the fact I had a Italia OC. I think I probably had a country one too, but I don't remember.
I think my first OC is probably so when I was little, my mom read me a book about a kind little ghost that helped people, and then I took an old handkerchief and I put a knot in it, because at the end of the book it explained how to do that, and I drew eyes on that, and that is Sophie, and Sophie still lives with me. And
Aw.
Sophie keeps all the bad things away.
That's
And I think that's
adorable.
Good on
technically
Sophie.
my first OC, because whenever I was scared, Sophie would fix it for me.
I'm like holding hands over my mouth because I'm just like, that's so cute. That's so
Olivia, that's
fucking
precious.
cute.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's my last wholesome OC. They've all been.
It's all downhill since.
Yeah.
It's. I did accidentally make a transgender OC while playing with Lego with my brothers, and no one got on to that, not
Great.
even me.
Oh my
But
god.
ever since, I've just been making monsters.
Can we talk about, like, when I was a kid, I made Lego, like, ships, and they were just made out of whatever I wanted them to, but they all talked like they were alive. They were anthropomorphic ships. And I guess those would be considered OCs in a lot of ways, and that's very strange to think about. Or I would have my Beanie Babies talk to, like, are those OCs? Yeah, I guess so.
If you gave them personalities, I guess they kind of were.
Hmm.
Yeah.
If you want to say yes, then the answer is yes.
Like, probably the vast majority of people won't be talking about their Beanie Baby OCs, but hey, if you want to come on and talk about that, we are all ears. That would be great.
I would love to hear about it.
But yeah, I probably have more information on, like, stuff that you've played in a tabletop game or something, so.
Yeah, it's more recent probably as well.
Yeah. I don't expect you to dredge up, like, old trauma to talk about characters unless you really want to. We would listen.
Sometimes I find
There's so much fresh trauma.
yeah.
Right, yeah.
Sometimes I find like old art that I did. It was like, oh, this one probably had a whole story, but I simply do not remember it, and I never wrote it down.
Or you, like, wrote it in a notebook that a former friend has now, or you're like you wrote it on, like, a forum that's just gone. There's, like, a lot of things like that, which is
I have
sad sometimes.
a friend that I would write letters to, and she would write letters back to me. And half of those letters was Lord of the Rings role-playing,
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
where I was a dwarf.
That
and
rocks.
She was an elf, and we were friends. And I don't think either of us realized that was actually role-playing. But we addressed those letters to the characters, so sometimes the mailman would have to give me a letter that was for Alvar Dwarven King and be like, does Alvar live in this address? And be like, yeah.
Yes, that's me.
Yeah.
Me. How old was I? I was 20.
Yes.
Hell-
That's
hell
so
yeah.
much better than I was thinking.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh my god. That's
But I have those letters, and she also kept those letters, so one day I'll be old and I'll look at him and I'll be like, hell yeah, that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
So sometimes OCs are very personal and they exist only for one or two people.
But maybe you could talk about them here. No, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, I totally understand why you'd want to keep that to yourself.
Yeah. The secret hidden OCs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess to put a cap on this, and start to wrap up the episode. Just as like a general overview, what are the guys you're thinking most about currently? Like, what are the hot, fresh guys that are most likely to be conversation topics on this here podcast?
I've already played my hand.
You didn't say.
Because I've already mentioned them.
I mean, you said the name Xenu once and then didn't elaborate on who that was.
Uh-huh. So yeah, my OC Xenu Var. Yeah, she is always on my mind.
Yeah, and Xenu originated as a character from the Fellowship campaign that Dan ran a couple years back.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have some more NPCs that you think about that are from the game you're running, or, I mean, it's on hiatus at the moment, but...
Yeah.
And that's like, I don't know the fourth person, because I know the two.
Oh, so we've got Gal and Jolene.
Yeah.
Who were just supposed to be kind of throwaway characters, but they're too good. And then the fourth one that came to mind earlier was, of course, Dorothy from your game.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That one was so new, I wasn't sure if you were talking about her.
I mean, do you realize how much bullshit I came up with in like a 30-minute span to create that character?
Do you like how I fucking threw a wrench in it?
Oh boy, did you ever!
Yeah, even though we've played like 3 sessions of Eidolon, I have so much that I could say about my OC for that campaign, Snake Ontario.
Snake Ontario is such a fucking good name.
Yes.
That is such an amazing name.
Snake Ontario and their Eidolon overseas.
Even though it's a lake.
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, yeah, probably probably most recently, like, the tabletop ones would be, like, Trouble, the one from the Fellowship campaign that, Spike's running, and has, some of the OCs from, and then probably also, because of all the bullshit that was in the background that I was really excited to make up, probably the NPC that you guys found out most recently there in the front of my head, Tom, Major Tom.
Yeah. I'm very excited to learn more about Tom.
I'm not.
I think they're neat.
Probably, you know, I was getting a commission for Pride Month, so I'm probably for like my first notice, probably that one too, just because I was like showing refs to someone, so they're in the front of my mind, also because they're like my icon everywhere, and yeah, I mean, just kind of whoever I'm talking about most recently, I'm thinking about. Like, so now I'm thinking about those 3 characters that are in the story that I haven't put down to paper yet. And one of them is more or less a space tiefling, so, you know, I'm showing my hand. Love those little fucking devil freaks.
You also have, like, another completely fleshed out character in the Isoverse.
Yeah, true. I guess I do have. I have a couple. I think you're talking about Ska.
Yes.
But I was like, I have a couple, and they're all like, not related to Trouble necessarily, like actually related, but they're all related.
They got lore connections.
Yeah, they have lore connections. So yeah, I have a lot of those. I have a whole like planet alien race of people that I just have like 7 characters from or whatever. And then I have more I could come up with because there's some like background shit.
I imagine you're standing there with all those OCs in your hand. They're piling off. They're falling on the ground. Like, I can't hold all of these.
That is what's happening.
Yes.
God, for real though.
It's stupid. It's fucking stupid. Because, like, some of it, I'm like, this will never come up. But that's fine. So, yeah, that's who I'm thinking about, I guess, is my tabletop ones, mostly.
Yeah. It's been a while since I got to play a tabletop game because I am currently in college hell. Nearly done. I'm so close. But I guess I am sort of thinking about those guys. So I had Herman from my Wanderhome campaign, which I hope that we can one day play another session of, because I think Herman is a very cool character that I made. I forgot the English word for the animal that he is.
Ferret, weasel.
He's a bird.
No, it's not a bird.
Wait, who's
I know you had a little mustard.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's weasel-like.
Yeah.
But I forget the exact name. But yeah, it could be. I'm pretty sure the Dutch word is hermelijn, so Hermine is probably correct.
Yeah, I think you're right. Sorry, Joe's character was a bird. I don't know what I was talking about. My character was
that one,
a star-nosed mole named Knob
Yeah,
Knock.
you were. Oh, Knob Knock, so good.
Named after a Neopets that I had.
So Herman's just a little guy that likes to put little guys in his pocket. You know, sometimes life's like that. I've got Broccoli from the Sleepaway campaign that I did. He survived. The love of his life didn't.
No.
So he's having a rough time. He's a small but strong little man. He does what he can. Excalibur from my D&D campaign, which is just the most curious cat you've ever seen. I throw everything on the ground with that one. I guess the one I'm thinking about the most is actually one that isn't in a campaign or anything, but it's Lens, which is like not completely fleshed out yet, but it's this character that steals people's eyes and puts them on their own body. Basically, if you're rude to them, and they don't tell you what rude is, they follow Fey rules there. They don't warn you in advance. But if you're rude, they're like, oh, well, got your eye now. How do you feel about that? And so sometimes he has a lot of eyes and sometimes he doesn't, because I've sort of decided that if he uses a lot of energy, the eyes kind of wither and die. But I'm still working on that.
The eyeballs are his food.
Yummy, yum,
yeah,
yum.
basically. He doesn't need to sleep, he just needs some eyeballs.
Delicious.
They're like little batteries that he pops in.
In various parts of his body.
Yeah, if we talk about that character, I'm like, we're probably gonna have to do some, like, warnings ahead of time. I love body
sorry.
horror. No, it's great.
I make a lot of body horror characters.
I love it. I have some too.
Love to do that.
Honestly, Trouble is kind of a body horror character originally. Like, they're not anymore, really, but, like, they had a big change and they were a little bit body horror themselves, so I totally
I just
understand.
want to make characters that aren't conventionally attractive, but I don't want to purposely make them ugly because that feels weird to do. So, body horror.
I do have some humans, despite the fact that a lot of the characters I listed were not human. I guess Tom's technically a human.
Look.
I mean, is he though?
He's not.
The telling
He's really not.
silence
Look,
that followed that sentence.
I'm just gonna ask you right now. We did
voice.
leave off. We did leave off the campaign with us getting in the car. If we pass by a Walgreens, we're stopping for one of those cheapy DNA tests.
Oh, sure. Fine. Yeah. I don't know if it would work, just based on what has happened to him. But
Do
shades have DNA?
Yeah, do shades have DNA?
I don't know.
What kind of abstract concepts made manifest?
I haven't decided if they have DNA.
Look, he just has to spit in the little tube.
Yeah, and you're gonna get question marks somehow.
Yeah.
You're gonna get like, well, this is rat DNA, so actually no.
No, it's not just rat DNA, it's also dog DNA.
Yeah, so let's
I'm normal.
see.
I make normal characters.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have a lot of fucking characters that I could talk about. Like I said, I've mentioned a few of them. I've got my Sonic OCs, M the Bun, who is my Sonic Forces avatar, Vile the Sexy Bat, who is my Speeding Bullets tabletop character. Let's see, I've got Gilly and Vortex, who are my Fellowship tabletop characters. Gilly Nibs is a demon lord. Vortex is a slime girl scientist who became a robot scientist. And
is also tormented by a little light.
Yeah, fucking has a little sparkly demon that tells her things that make her sad.
Fuck Sparkle for forever.
Let's see. Yeah, I've got Snake Ontario, my Eidolon character. And then I've also got like a little roster of characters from a post-apocalypse thing I'm writing. I have ambitions to like eventually turn it into a visual novel. I've been like looking at some Ren'Py tutorials and you know, drawing some sprites, but if it's a lot of work. If I'm being honest, it'll probably never be finished unless I'm like between jobs for a while and don't have anything better to do.
Hey, some people
but
don't,
yeah.
Some people take like 8 years on their visual novels or longer, so
I've got so many unfinished stories just around the internet and in my home. It's just life.
so true.
But yeah, I have like 6 main characters from that. They're all like anthropomorphic animals. They all wear funny masks to keep from breathing in the fucking bad air that kills you.
You also wanted to make a campaign out of this?
Yeah, I still do. I still think that would be a fun setting to have a tabletop campaign in.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, like I still know what my character concept was.
Let's see, I'm trying to think. Are there any other like major ones? I think that's it. I have a Digimon OC that I used for a an RP a couple of years back and then never touched. But yeah, I think that's most of them. I also have my Persona, which isn't really a character since they're just like me as a little mouse girl. But you know, still counts, sort of.
I feel like we could have like, a whole episode talking about Persona that are us versus Persona that aren't. I feel like there's like something there we could talk about.
Yeah, we should make room for like just self-insert, because I enjoy that, and I know a lot of people enjoy that, and it shouldn't be separate from OCs, I think.
Yeah, like it's just like I feel like there for some of that there might be like a topic of conversation to go there just to so you're not just like, wow, I'm in this game now. This is me and I'm in this game. That's the entire episode. So I was like, well, you could like talk about why you did it like that, and there's a lot there, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And making characters on the podcast seems fun, even if it's slightly daunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've got my spindle wheel deck now, so I am ready to make a guy.
Nice.
Yeah, this is just our pocket launch of our fucking actual play where we make characters on stream out of space.
There's never gonna be a story. It's just us making more and more characters.
Oh yeah.
Actual plays are hell to edit, but also that would be fun to do at some point.
Yeah.
We could do a little bonus. Maybe in the holidays, so that I can actually play for a while.
Yeah.
I've got my 2 months coming up, guys.
Look, we start a Patreon that like an actual play is like the $10,000 level,
so that I don't have to go to work in the morning and we can all record on normal hours.
Hell yeah.
Listen, I think if anyone's quitting their job to get more normal sleep hours, it should probably be me.
And it shouldn't be me. I actually enjoy my job.
And you technically do have normal hours. They're just different than our hours because you're...
Europe should just be illegal. Unfortunately, it isn't.
Let's see, what was I gonna say? Yeah, like, honestly, kind of a big part of the appeal of GMing. Fuck, she finally got it. The foam panel is down.
Oh no!
We did hear. I heard some ripping.
I mean, I'm torn between oh no and hell yeah, go Pearl, go.
No.
Anyway, I gotta fucking start locking Pearl out of the room when I do podcast. She is too chaotic for this.
My Bob is just sleeping.
Part of the appeal of you know, GMing a tabletop game is just making up a ton of different NPCs and like doing the voices and just embodying like a funny little guy,
and then,
or a whole bunch of funny little guys rather,
and then forgetting they're there. Sorry, I'm just talking about myself.
As Spike can probably attest to, I do love putting way too many NPCs in my games.
Yeah, there was the point where you had an entire scene that was just a bunch of NPCs talking to each other, and it kind of ripped.
Nice.
I mean, I tried to confine those to the little like before session like kind of. I called them ad breaks, but occasionally they just became like little exposition dumps.
It would be ad breaks if this was an actual play. No, that just reminds me of me talking to myself in the Fellowship game as Trouble and Rhythm and just having a whole conversation because I was like, they just have a lot to say to each other. It's normal. So
yeah, any closing thoughts then? Anything else we wanna say about NPCs before we like get into it and start talking about some guys next episode?
it won't just be tabletop guys.
Yeah.
Wow, cool OC.
It will probably be a lot of tabletop guys, because tabletop guys are fun to talk about. They have like a whole story that goes with them usually.
Look, we could have an entire series of episodes just establishing, like, the different peoples from the Fellowship campaign.
Yeah. We sure could.
Yeah,
I can make up a backstory on the spot. As I said,
would
I'm
love
currently in
that.
college. I'm at the peak of my bullshitting right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would genuinely love if, like, Elvir just made up a random, like, people on ESO or something.
Yeah.
I have so many stories running in my brain. I can just take one and put it on a character.
Hell yeah.
hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and we definitely want to hear your guys.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I said, we're planning on having guest episodes. We've definitely got to get Dan and Patrick on at some point, the other two players from our tabletop group. I know a lot of us have friends who have a bunch
I'm gonna
of,
have to get Dyke on here to talk about Rain, whom I love.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Agreed.
And I tried to see if I could get my friend who's publishing, but I don't think that'll happen unless our podcast goes on till 2025, which it could.
Oh boy.
Good.
I don't think it should necessarily, but it could. We'll see. But yeah, I was like, can you come on? But there's plenty of other people I can weasel into coming on this show from various places.
Hell yeah.
And I'm excited to do that because I just love hearing about your guys.
Yes.
Yeah, we like guys on this show, surprisingly, as it turns out.
Guy, gender neutral guy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
precisely.
I think that's all, and we can probably just take this episode to the close.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are people's plugs?
Ooh. Let me go, because this will be easy. Hey, people. This is Spike. Hey, I want you to do something.
Oh God.
Join the Discord that's in the show notes. It's a good place. We have fun there. We have the special werewolves channel that got mentioned earlier. And right now we're doing Toku Mondays, where we've been watching Kamen Rider Double and Garo every Monday. And then once that runs out, we're gonna watch a Digimon show again.
Yeah.
That's the only place you can find Spike.
Yeah, that is the only place you can find me. This is
So
true.
join our Discord.
Whittling down your internet presence to a single server. I can appreciate that.
I wish I could say that I did that. I didn't. I'm on findable on a lot of places. I personally think the most enjoyable place to appreciate me is Tumblr. mattfromcouten.tumblr.com. I don't think you're gonna write that correctly on your first try. Or my Twitter, which is @eruviru. But my Twitter is just me complaining about shit, so find me on Tumblr where I reblog a lot of good art.
Hell yeah.
That's it. That's all I've got.
You can find me, as usual, on Tumblr and Twitter. More Tumblr at this point, because Twitter is kind of unusable, at Haunting the Morgue. That's MORG for Morgue. And I'll co-host at Gengar, like the Pokemon. And you can find me on my other podcasts, which are Forward ReZero, a ReZero Watch podcast, and the Sonic Shuffle, a random and holistic Sonic lore podcast. I have not made an official Sonic OC, and that's a crime because I am a Sonic podcaster. Like, I guess my Speeding Bullets ones are, but we can get into that later.
Yeah, I didn't mention Pineapple the Squirrel as a Speeding Bullets character. I get you'll see them eventually on the Sonic Shuffle.
I was gonna say I don't have any human OCs, but then I realized Jack.
He's a skeleton.
Yeah, but he was a human.
Dorothy's a human.
Technically speaking.
Is she?
Yeah, true.
Well, unless you have something to say, she is.
Yeah,
yes.
she is human.
Snake isn't 100% convinced that she's human, but yeah, she probably is.
I mean, you are starting to have me have doubts.
I probably am also. Yeah, I think that's it for me. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Emery.
I'm Emery. You can find me on a podcast called We Rate Queerbait. I fucking had to cycle through all the podcasts in my head before I landed on that one. It's a show where we explore the blurry line between homie and homo. We take a look at all the, fictional characters who should have been gay as hell, but, it wasn't canon. And we rate them on the 3 criteria of no hetero, no homo, and no romo to decide just how queerbaity they are.
I can't wait till Devin forces you to watch 911 because I told him to watch it.
Great. It sounds like a fucking nightmare. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, wow.
Bad.
A lot of time, sometimes we look at something we like and we're like, yeah, clearly the creators weren't allowed to make an official queer couple or official queer representation, but we can see it. We know it's there. Sometimes we just look at a big trash fire and point at it and we say that's gay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what Naruto is, and that was your first episode,
Yeah.
so...
Yeah, I like to go and suggest, fun, gentle things to them, because they seem to be going through a lot with some of these shows.
Whereas I tell them to watch Mr. Glee's most recent TV show that sucks and is very, fake liberal woke weirdness.
Great. Oh,
It's
fantastic.
great. It's good. It's a good show.
I'm just patiently waiting for the Haikyuu episode that you'll have to do.
Ooh, yeah, Haikyuu would be a good one.
Oh, for sure. God, that I really want to do Haikyuu with you. That sounds like a nightmare to schedule because we usually record at 8 o'clock our time.
Fuck.
I have a 2-month holiday coming up.
True. We could figure it out.
Or you could just do it without me. But I do have, July and August, I don't have to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
I mean, I have to go work for a couple of days in those 2 months, but in general, I don't have to work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm also on Fur Affinity with the username Space Robot. I'm drawing a lot of characters there. A lot of them are original characters. So if I'm talking about a particular guy, there's a good chance you can go on my Fur Affinity and see how I've represented them. I'm also posting a lot of that art in our Discord server, as previously mentioned. So yeah, you can fucking visual element. And also, if you want art of Euroseas, I take commissions. You can get in touch with me about those if you just visit me on Discord, message me there, or email me at spacerobotart.com, spacerobotart@gmail.com. That's SPACEROBTART. So yeah, I think that's about all. I think we're ready to wrap up. I don't know what the sign off is.
Get a load of this guy. Take a look in a book. It's your guy. I don't know. I'm trying different things. We'll see what sticks. We'll see what the fucking...
Yeah, one day one of us is gonna say something so good, but I don't think it was today.
This guy has been checked out.
Ooh.
Yeah, fucking don't forget to return them to the library. They've been checked out.
God.
Get a load of this guy.
Yeah, what if we did just retroactively make this library themed?
Fuck.
Welcome to the Library of OCs.
I mean, you already made, like, the picture, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, I did.
And it is not book themed.
Just slap a book on top of there.
Just changing your team every other episode is a very OC thing to do.
True. Goodbye, you creatives.
Bye.
Remember to give your guys a kiss on the head before you tuck them in tonight. I don't know.
Remember, you are a creative, even if you don't think you are, because you did make a guy.
Yeah, remember to pat them on the head and cup them gently in your hands because they're little and small like a rat.
I can't hold all of these
As much as
guys.
I love this bit we've got going, I do have to go to sleep.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
I'll be locking out now.
Good night.
Get the fuck out of here. Bye, everyone.
Fuck you.
Bye.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.